Books. There are literally thousands of them. And behind every book, there's an author. I am on a journey to discover what motivates someone to write a book.
Nicholas Wasiliev, welcome to Line Books. Thank you for coming on to talk about your book. Please tell us, what's your book called?
So my book's called Where the Chips May Fall, and it's basically a piece revolving around four men and the effects that gambling has on one specific member of that group.
So when we talk about gambling, are we talking about poker? Are we talking about cards?
Well, kind of the entire concept of gambling is very much in the Australian psyche right now, and
yes.
So I have a lot of friends, personally, that gambling is targeted towards, particularly our generation, and so often it's kind of seen as cool to go out to the casino and spend money or go to the pokies or whatever. So the specific type of gambling, it kind of can vary. Obviously people have a preference, but the overall kind of concept of gambling itself, the actual addictive nature of it, is a very important thing to talk about. And also because of how damaging it can be.
Yes.
And particularly to people like my generation who, are only coming in, still very young, still finding out things about the world and still realising that there are repercussions for
So do you think gambling is bad?
From my personal viewpoint, I have seen the damage that it can do to people. And obviously, but at the same time, I've been to the casino once or twice, and I have.
And we're talking about the Star Casino.
Yes, Star Casino. Yes. So
is your book
Casino.
based in Sydney?
Yes. So the book is based in Sydney and kind of based over a certain period of time, like ranging from when these four guys are in university together to slowly into early adult life, and it examines kind of how their friendship together and how they interact with one another is changed by the nature of gambling and the nature of their.
Just to give potential readers something to know, what sort of book would you say it's a little bit like? What sort of book would have inspired this?
Well, I was inspired quite heavily by, for instance, people like John Steinbeck,
right.
and kind of people like that who had a much more of a social edge to their stories. This story itself is kind of a set of vignettes,
right.
kind of a set of smaller stories that kind of relate to a larger story that take place, and each one from the perspective of a different character.
Yeah.
And so, it kind of, for instance, like you look at a story like Of Mice and Men,
yeah.
which has every single chapter is told from a different character's perspective. And has a different viewpoint on the one setting where the story takes place.
And how far are you with the book? Have you finished it?
I'm currently halfway through the first story,
right.
Writing the first story, which is from the perspective of one of the main characters, Noah.
Oh.
And yes, so that's the kind of...
How long? How do you anticipate going from here? So we're in March,
yes,
2017.
That's right.
When do you anticipate the book will be ready for launch?
Well, hopefully within the next 6 months, because obviously I'm writing quite a lot myself. I'm kind of doing a lot of things outside of that, so finding time to write is very difficult. But
yes.
Hopefully, within the next 6 months to have the story completely finished.
And where would you say is your niche? Where do you go to write?
I like to write in I like to have an office space.
Yeah.
I like to have a space that is set where I write, where I go. It's kind of, I treat it almost like a job. You go, you have a goal, you try to set out for your day, and you write it and you go over it.
So, people have to do, some people like to have a bit of distraction just
yes.
to stir them creatively, and others like to have, like the monastery. Which one would you be?
Probably, well, I kind of very much value the space where I work, so probably, and not being disturbed as well.
Yes.
So probably the monastery kind of setting where once I'm locked in there, you shouldn't disturb me.
Is this your first book?
Yes, so this is my first book. I have, written a couple of other pieces and submitted them for consideration with other journals and things like that.
So you do write articles, don't you? You write about sport and rugby.
Yes.
But what inspired you to do the novel?
So kind of what inspired me to do the novel was I did a couple of stories while I was at university, doing, and I thought, and a lot of people, you know, in the first kind of few versions that I wrote, which was originally a short story, they said, "This is really great. This is a really interesting edge to this story." And then, you know, of course, I found Lion Books, and you guys had a fantastic course that I started looking at. And then I thought, what's the story I could use?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of started going back over the many stories and pieces and ideas that I'd written together. And this story kept kind of saying, there's a story here that needs to be told and needs to be mentioned. So for that reason, I thought, absolutely, I think I need to put it
Okay,
into
we'll
this.
catch up with you later, and let's hope that comes on. Nicholas Wasiliev, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.